Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 is read the third. Honourable members, the question is, those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The volume of the work is making me speed up. Honourable members, the ayes have it.
An act to repeal the Electronic Transfer Levy Act 2022 Act 1075 and the Electronic Transfer Levy Amendment Act 2022 Act 1089 and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the motion is adopted. The Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 is now read the third time.
So that was on the floor of Parliament as it officially approved the Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025, effectively abolishing the controversial e-levy, which previously taxed electronic financial transactions in Ghana. The e-levy which was initially introduced at 1.75% before being revised to 1%, imposed taxes on electronic transactions, including mobile money payments, bank transfers, and inward remittances. The levy, introduced in 2022, faced significant opposition from the public and various stakeholders who argued that it placed an additional financial burden on citizens and discouraged digital transactions. During the parliamentary debate on the repeal bill, Deputy Finance Minister Thomas Nyakwampem highlighted the financial relief the move brings to Ghanaians. He stated that the abolishment of the e-levy will effectively return 2 billion Ghana cedis to the people of Ghana, helping to ease financial pressures and improve livelihoods. The repeal of the e-levy aligns with the government's efforts to promote financial inclusion and encourage the use of digital payments platform without imposing additional costs on users. Many business owners, mobile money agents, and financial analysts had previously criticized the levy, citing its impact on digital transactions and financial accessibility. With the passage of the Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025, Ghana's financial sector is expected to witness increased electronic transaction, boosting digital commerce and economic growth. Let's listen to proceedings when the Finance Minister, Dr. Kaysel Tifosin, moved the motion, which was subsequently approved.
Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 be now read the third time. I so move, Mr. Speaker. Honourable members, question numbered item 50 at page 12 of today's order paper, accordingly moved by the Minister responsible for Finance. Any seconder?
Yes, Speaker, I second the motion.
Honourable members, the motion is moved and seconded, and it is for the consideration of the House. Honourable members, motion accordingly adopted, and the Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 is read the third. Honourable members, the question is, those in favor say aye. Those against say no. The volume of the work is making me speed up. Honourable members, the ayes have it.
An act to repeal the Electronic Transfer Levy Act 2022 Act 1075 and the Electronic Transfer Levy Amendment Act 2022 Act 1089 and to provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the motion is adopted. The Electronic Transfer Levy Repeal Bill 2025 is now read the third time.
So that was the discussion on the floor when the Minister responsible for Finance, Dr. Kaysel Tifosin, moved the motion on the floor of Parliament, which the Speaker subsequently approved, that with the help of the majority or the number of people who said ayes. But the majority leader announced that repealing of the e-levy would benefit Ghanaians by putting 2 billion Ghana cedis back into their pockets. He shared this view during today's discussion on the e-levy repeal bill in Parliament. The House today repealed the electronic transaction, the emission and the betting tax as presented in the budget, in line with governing NDC party's campaign promise to the people of Ghana in the run-up to the 2024 general elections.
Mr. Speaker, once again, the issue of electronic transfer levy is before this House, and rise to support the passage of the bill repealing the electronic transfer levy. So, Speaker, the report says that if we pass the electronic transfer levy repeal bill, there will be more disposable income in the hands of individuals and households. Why is it so? Individuals and households would have lost the money by way of the deductions imposed by the tax. If we repeal the tax and then the individuals are no longer going to be making those payments by way of the deductions, the money will remain in their hands. And that is the basis for the committee saying that there will be more disposable income in the hands of the individual. Meaning the money will now be available to them to spend. That is what disposable income is. And Mr. Speaker, if you look at the fiscal impact analysis, which our standing order says we should consider during this stage of the debate, the committee says the committee was informed that the repeal of the levy will result in an estimated loss of 1.946 billion Ghana cedis for the 2025 fiscal year. What it means, Mr. Speaker, is that 1.946 billion, that is close to 2 billion Ghana cedis, would have been paid by Ghanaians to the government by way of the deductions based on the tax. But if we pass this bill, the deduction will no longer take place and government will lose close to 2 billion Ghana cedis. But the 2 billion Ghana cedis that government is going to lose will now come to Ghanaians. So in effect, individual Ghanaians who ordinarily would have lost 2 billion Ghana cedis will now retain their 2 billion Ghana cedis. And government that would have gained 2 billion Ghana cedis by way of deductions from Momo transfers, government will lose the 2 billion Ghana cedis. So this single legislative measure is going to pass on 2 billion Ghana cedis to Ghanaians. 2 billion Ghana cedis. 2 billion Ghana cedis. So this is a gift of 2 billion Ghana cedis being given back to Ghanaian citizens.
Well, that's the majority leader and also the member of parliament for Boko Central, Mahama saying that, well, Ghanaians will get some 2 billion Ghana cedis in their pockets every year. But in response, Minority Chief Whip and also MP for Nsawamedreji, Frank Anodon says the repeal of the electronic levy is nothing new to the New Patriotic Party, the minority caucus, because that was the intention of the party if they had won the 2024 December 7 elections.
Speaker, the consideration earlier was that the leader of the House will conclude. I feel compelled to make this comment. I'm speaking in support, but just for the record, Speaker, let's all bear in mind that the rate as of that time we started off with 2.5%. The position of the minority then was that we should take it to 1%. And I heard what is new. That was it. And I heard then minority leader very loud all over the place. In fact, Honorable Haruna Idrisu engaged us that if it's going to be 1%, we are all for it. Now it is back to square one, 1%. So in fact, what have you done? This is a very essential point that must go into the records. So we are now back to 1%, which was their original position. So we haven't done anything new. Fact be told, we haven't done anything new. The 1% is what we are now touting. And that was what you spoke to earlier. You check the records there. Is it not 1%? Majority, are you not reducing it to 1%? In our manifesto, because we said we are going to abolish it. In our manifesto, and anybody can trace that, we had said that we are going to abolish it.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip. Honorable Minority Chief Whip. Honorable Minority Chief Whip.
Are you playing
Honorable Minority Chief Whip.
The e-levy is being
The bill before us, is it to reduce it to 1% or to abolish it?
to completely abolish the e-levy
leaders,
so that we give 2 billion to the people of Ghana.
Please speak into the record.
2 billion to the people of Ghana.
Honorable Minority Chief Whip, please speak to the record. The bill before us, our second reading, is it to reduce the electronic levy to 1% or to repeal? The question is directed to Minority Chief Whip.
So that's the Member of Parliament for Nsawama Dwejiri and also the Minority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre arguing. Well, let me speak to our parliamentary correspondent, Havila Kekele. We're trying to get him on the line because, well, there's some kind of confusion because now there's an abolishment of the e-levy, so there's not going to be e-levy charged again. But on the floor of Parliament, the Nsawama Dwejiri MP was saying that it has been reduced from 1.75% to 1%. That was his argument, and he wanted to get some clarifications. But the clarification clearly is that the e-levy has been abolished, and that is the establishment on the floor of Parliament. But we wanted to get some inside story from a parliamentary correspondent. Unfortunately, we are unable to connect with him. So that's the discussion. You can also join the conversation on our WhatsApp number 0500,202 or on Facebook, Class 91.3 on Facebook. We'll be joined in the studio shortly by Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association, Samson Asake Awengo. But during the debate, okay, we do have our parliamentary correspondent, Havila Kekele, on the line. Kekele, good to have you on 505 this evening. So the establishment clearly is that the e-levy has been abolished, correct?
Definitely, the e-levy today got abolished completely by members of Parliament.
Right. So why was the argument from the Nsawama Dwejiri MP that it has been reduced from 1.7% to just 1%? Why was that argument?
It was a matter of misunderstanding from his point. He really didn't go through the reports which came before him.
Right.
So when he started that argument, the members from the majority side stood on their feet and drew the attention of the presiding speaker that no, what is before him has nothing to do with reduction of the tax, but rather absolute repealing of this very bill. This very tax.
Right. Give us some explanations into, before we come to what the debate and what the minority leader Afenyo Markin talked about, the emission levy and then the betting tax. What was the conversation on that before we move to the debates from the Member of Parliament for Futu Afenyo Markin?
The general debate from the majority side has to do with that. The fact that the government is abolishing these taxes, the government is going to incur some losses in revenue mobilization. But then the advantage of it is that members of the Ghanaian public or the Ghanaian citizens, though the government is losing this money, the government is directly putting it back into the pocket of the Ghanaian citizens. That was the argument from the majority members. For the minority members, their overall argument is that, well, this is not enough. There are so many other taxes that you would have to repeal if really you want to put money back into Ghanaians' pockets. Particularly, the minority leader in particular mentioned taxes on import levies and all that which he felt that the government could have gone ahead to abolish these ones.
Speaker, the
bill. The Speaker, it is early days. It is early days. Now we hear our friends praising themselves, claiming that they are fulfilling their campaign promises, their selective fulfillment of promises. But I need to remind them that what they are attempting to do is not new to this House. In 2017, when the Akufo-Addo government presented its first budget. There were a lot of taxes that were repealed. And for the records, as many as 15 taxes and levies that were in place and had been in place through an enactment by the previous Mahama administration had to be repealed. So if today they are here with some fewer amendment to our tax laws, well, we would want to encourage them to do more. We are aware that in their time, Kaya was even taxed. We are aware. We are aware. Agro inputs, including the tools that the farmers use, cutlasses being used by the farmers in Boko were taxed. Hoes were taxed. Import duties on spare parts were very burdensome. Mr. Speaker, if today they claim they are abolishing some taxes, well, to the extent that it's going to benefit the ordinary Ghanaian, we support it.
So, well, we've lost Kekele on the night, but that's the minority leader and also the member of parliament for Efutu constituency. That's Alexander Kwamena Afenyo Markin Osahene, actually. So we'll get some reactions again from the floor of parliament. Many are asking when the betting tax will also be repealed, and that's a conversation. Kekele, good to have you back on the line. Others are also asking about when the betting tax and the emission levy will be removed. What's the latest or the update on that?
Also, currently the committee is working on this very report. We are hoping that by the close of the day, these very other bills will be taken before the House go on an adjournment.
I see, but currently as we speak, has proceedings gone to an end?
No, the House is currently on 30-minute suspension. It was 30 minutes, but they are yet to return back to the chamber.
Any other thing we need to know in Parliament?
So aside this one, we're also expecting the various estimates to also come before the House. The estimate of the various ministries will be brought before the House. And then subsequently, we'll also be having the various appropriation bills. And the House is expected to rise on Friday. So today, tomorrow, and Friday will be extended sitting for members of Parliament.
Well, if you say extended sitting, what do you mean for the ordinary Ghanaian to understand? So Friday is going to be the last day for Parliament. I'm talking about this particular session, right?
Yes, Friday will be the last day. Now, when we talk about extended sitting, usually the House will close around 2 o'clock or 4 p.m.